Oh, I had to inject a little bit of fun into Depraved and Debaucherous in this Minisode. Okay, an Apple executive who was off duty was asked by a TikToker what he does for a living to afford a $500,000 Mercedes Benz. And joking, he had a woman in his car. He says, "I fondle big-breasted women for a living." Tony Blevins is a high-ranking vice president at Apple, was fired after a viral TikTok showed him joking about fondling big-breasted women for a living. The video centered around Blevins' $500,000 Mercedes-Benz was flagged in complaints by several hundred Apple employees. And Apple CEO Tim Cook and COO Jeff Williams were reportedly angered by the video, which was being viewed by staff and business partners. And Blevins worked for Apple for 22 years. He did apologize for his remarks, but he's out. Yeah. So there's what we heard about that. And the video is reported to Human Resources. And then we go along, and he goes along, and listen, he got asked the question. He was just having fun out there. Who knew what was going to be said about anything about that? But he was at an event in Pebble Beach, California on August 18th, and that's where the video was taken. Now, what happened is that Tony Blevins was actually quoting the movie Arthur, Dudley Moore's character from the 1981 movie. Okay, I race cars, play tennis, and fondle women, but I have weekends off, and I'm my own boss. Anyway, and so the same guy that recorded the TikTok video also recorded videos with Helen Mirren, President Joe Biden, Brooklyn Beckham, and Jay Leno. And 141,000 likes for the video. His salary was between $273,000 and $377,000. He was one of 100 Apple vice presidents. Yep. There's that. And so he said what he said. And you know what, guys? You need to realize that these kind of things that you say right there are absolutely going to burn you in the ass. And this is where he might not have been on social media doing anything, but just saying that on social media burned him altogether. And that was the biggest problem of all. You know, it's one thing I never talk too much about, how with social media, that when I first got engaged into it around 2007, when I got on the Twitter and Facebook, I knew that these platforms were public. And I couldn't necessarily go and be that deep or be that personal on social media. Like even right now when I do this podcast, because some of this content might go onto social media, I also have to always be a little bit careful about wanting to know what I'm going to say on the air and what I'm going to put out there. But that's for me working in radio for as long as I have, that I always had that lesson. And I always wanted to make sure that I am not going to say anything that's going to go out of line that would go against anything. And especially if you're working for a company like Apple, with the level of morals, clauses you probably have to sign through, and all these different things that you got to say. Maybe he never got caught for saying anything like that. But again, he was out, he was having fun, and he was with a big-breasted woman, and he decided to go and make the comment. But just because he said that, people outraged with him. He got canceled, essentially. And Apple dropped him. Well, when it's a progressive company like Apple that, you know, they're really going to be very much sensitive when it comes to women in the workplace and thinking, okay, this guy made this comment. That's one thing where women are going to be outraged by what he said. But then the CEO and the COO of the company and management and the stockholder, knowing that this executive would say something like that, knowing no matter where he is, even if he is off duty, he is representing Apple. That by saying that, he's going to burn himself. Which is why you need to be more doubly conscious of what you say and what you shouldn't say. Same thing even when it comes to like the messages you put out there. Like what Adam Levine did by putting his comments out there in social media through the message. And then the girl Shannon Stroh was able to go ahead and burn him. And you know, whether she was right or not, no matter what, he was making mistakes anyway. And this right here was the valid proof that was necessary to be given so that she could really burn him at the end of the day. Sumner Stroh, not Shannon, Sumner. These are the things you need to realize you can't get away with. You can't just be that gung-ho and be willing to go ahead and see something like that without repercussion. You got to be careful what you say. Tread lightly when you're on social media. Do you realize that? Also, the other thing, too, is that, there's a lot of things to be said about how women might go ahead and see what you say on social media, what you might put out there. Your political views can totally burn you when it comes to social media, make you get canceled, make you lose the focus on somebody you want to be with. You just can't be that completely open. Like, I know you feel like you could do that, but like, imagine if you're trying to see something that you put on social media, and if you said the same thing and it might be controversial, you might be a keyboard warrior for doing it, but then you have about, say that's 10, 20, 100 people that are in front of you, and you make that comment. Are you going to be shamed? Because the problem is people don't feel shame. They're desensitized by writing on social media in the first, but you already know that. But then if you're caught up on camera and you're being asked something, like I also see some of those people that are on man on the street kind of videos, and I see people that are commenting all the time, and I'm like, oh boy, is that going to look good for them after the fact if they say something and they're going to sound stupid? Be careful. Guys, do not be Tony Blevin. Don't do what he did. He should have known that video was going to go somewhere. He was having a good time. He was entertaining his girlfriend right there, whoever she was, and might have gotten a little bit drunk, was enjoying himself in the car. Listen, living a good life. He was just being a playboy out there, and it burned him. Be careful. Because if you want to go ahead and fawn around with a big breasted woman, you will go out and drive around your 500,000 Benzie, sure. But go somewhere where you can go ahead and not get caught up on social media, where you and the lady can be depraved and debaucherous.